Hello, everybody. Andrew Blake from the digitalaudiomanual.com. Today, let's talk about chord editing in the key editor in Cubase. So there's no denying that a good knowledge of chords and how to use them will help you in so many ways in your music productions. And if you're a musician that's versed in different kinds of chords, well, so much the better. Well, what kind of options does Cubase give us in terms of understanding and using chords, no matter what level we're at? And even for those that are very familiar with chords, what kinds of inspiration can we draw at times when we may be looking for some new ideas? If we start with a basic VST instrument with a loop point of 4 bars above here, double-click in this area, which creates a MIDI part, and then I can click on this again to open it up. Over on the left area of the key editor, we have all these various tabs. One of them says Chord Editing. If I click on that, we have all this different stuff in here. And most of it right now is just grayed out. So what can we do with these options? How can we use these? Basically, what do they all mean? Let's begin by looking at this option down here that says 4-note chords. You can see we have kind of a grayed out area with what looks like a bunch of different kinds of chord names. And on the right, we have these little triangles for each one. If we hit one of these triangles, let's say in this first column, find that if we come over into the editor and click someplace, it now draws in 4 different MIDI notes resembling some kind of chord. If I click and drag it to the right, I can extend the notes. And if I move up and down with it before I let go of my mouse, I can get a preview of what it sounds like. Let's extend this all the way to the end of these 4 bars. And suddenly everything has kind of lit up over here with all our different choices. And if I play it, I get this. Right now, the button that's lit up says major 7th. That's telling me I have a major 7th chord here. What if I click the next one that says minor 7th? What did that do to the sound? It changes it. What if I hit this one that says minor 7th with a flat 5 and then play that? Very interesting. As I click through these different buttons, I actually get to hear the chord change as I hit the different buttons. For example, if I hit this sus4/7, or a full diminished. So even if you have no idea what these chords mean, or what these symbols are, you get the benefit of hearing how they sound without really needing to know anything else. Let's hit a major 7th raised 5. Well, what about a minor 6? If we start over again and delete these notes and hit one of these triangles and write the notes in again, and then come over and hit a different triangle, this one's a minor 7th flat 5, draw that someplace, go over to a minor 6, hit that triangle, draw it someplace. Let's put one more in here. Major 7th raised 5. And with no knowledge of chords at all, I've now created this. What's the difference over here between these buttons and these triangles? If I hit one of these buttons and I have some notes selected, it's going to change those notes to reflect these chords. On the other hand, if I hit the triangles, that doesn't change anything. It sets up my pencil tool and then allows me to draw more chords. If I just go to another triangle, even though I have some notes selected, nothing changes, but I can draw different chords in here. Hit a different triangle, draw some different chords in here. And then if I want to change those chords while they're selected, I can come back and hit one of these buttons. We get some interesting behaviors with how the chords will change as we move them up and down in this grid. If I go back over to my major 7th chord, draw one in, as I play this chord and use my arrows to move it up or down, it remains a major 7th chord with the exact same distance between the notes. If I go up and hit my pitch visibility button on my toolbar and make sure the drop-down arrow says show the pitches from the scale assistant, and this depends on the scale assistant, go to the scale assistant tab, and in this example, the editor scale says C, drop-down says major. When I move the chords now, it no longer stay just a C major 7th chord. The notes will actually correct themselves to only stay on notes from the C major scale. So you get things that sound like this. All the chords are in the same key, and they all relate to each other. This allows us to create chords that we know are going to fit together and make some changes very quickly. For example, if I take this chord, hit Control-D to duplicate it 3 times, I can make a selection of any chord, and then with my up or down arrows, move it around a little bit, and I know all these chords are going to sound good and fit together right. If I play it now, it sounds like this. We have a fascinating set of analysis tools when we're looking at this chord editor like this. If I make a selection of any of these notes as chords and look over in the left column, I actually get a readout of what the chord is. In this case, it tells me it's an E minor 7th. And if I select these chords instead, now I can see it says a C major 7th. This is great because now anytime we have a block of MIDI notes and we're curious what kind of chord options they may be, we can just select those MIDI notes. And right here we have a readout of what the possible chord could be. You have some convenient options. You go up to your global track option and you have a chord track in your project. You can come down and select that to make sure it's in view. Then back in the chord tab, with our notes selected, I can say add it to the chord track, and then I can put it right up here in the chord track. I can go to another set of notes, select them. You can see in this case it says a D minor 7th. And again, I can say add it to the chord track. Where it gets really interesting is you can build these groups of notes on each other for even more complex chords. For example, if I take this group of notes, which is an E minor 7th, and then I take this group of notes, which is a C major 7th, but instead of taking them one at a time, I select all those notes at the same time, it tells me I've created a C major 7/9 chord. And I can then take all of those notes and this very complex chord and say add that to the chord track, and then I have that chord up here as well. Now let's talk about nudge and how you can use that, some of the ways you move your chords around. I'm going to erase a few of these, select them, hit delete. When I have this chord selected, there's 3 nudge options. If you're not familiar with it, let's go through them real quick. The first one will really help you out in so many situations, and that's simply to hold your control key down and then either hitting your right arrow or your left arrow. You can move per whatever quantization you have set up. For example, right now I have 1/8 notes, so I can easily just move by an 1/8 note to the right, to the left. Such a useful operation. If I hold my Alt key down and then begin hitting that left key, I can extend the selection by 1/8 notes. If I keep my Alt key down and hit the right arrow, then I can move it back again. Then the final move, if you hold Alt and Shift, you can do that on the right side. I can nudge or extend my selection to the right by using my right arrow, or with the left arrow, I can move it backwards. I'm going to hold Control and arrow, move the selection to the beginning of the part. I'm going to hold Alt and Shift and extend the selection to the end of the part. Another nice shortcut to know if you don't. Switching to your scissors tool, if you hold your Alt key down, whatever size you pick, you can make a cut. For example, I'm going to cut on the bar, and that makes equal cuts along every bar with one cut. Hitting Control A again, and then holding the Alt and Shift key, I can shrink down these various selections all at the same time using my left arrow. I'm going to shrink them down to the size of an 1/8 note, allowing me to make something like this quickly. While they're all selected, if I hit Control and D for duplicate, it makes a whole bunch of selections over here on the right. Some of them you can't even see. But then simply by holding Control again and my left arrow, I can bring all those duplicates back into view, continue them to the beginning of my other chords, creating something like this. Then I can experiment freely with those selections. I hold Control on my right arrow. I can move all those chords, coming up with something like this. Let's move it one more 1/8 note. I'm going to hit Control, right arrow, and I get this. Let's make another duplicate. I'm going to hit Control D, again hold Control and my left arrow, bring all those back into view, and then I have something like this. If I add a drum loop into it, let's make one more duplication. I'm going to select every 4th group here. Again, hit Control D, and again hold Control and bring them back in. Now I'm going to change my pitch visibility back on, restricting what notes it uses. Then I'm going to hit my up arrow, and I get something like this. Or maybe I want to change it just the opposite of that. I'll hit my down arrow for this one, and my up arrow for this. And then I get this. Quickly being able to manipulate and come up with some really interesting chord ideas. Let's change the quantize a little bit. Go to my toolbar and change it to a 16th note. Select these 2 chords. Again, hold my Alt and Shift together, and my left arrow, and I can make them small increments, giving me something like this. Then we get a very interesting set of options in terms of how we can move the notes in the chords around. Formal name for that being inversions. What happens if I select a group of the notes in the chord? You get these options over here that say move up, move down, or you get these drop note options. In the inversion section, when it says move up or move down, it's going to take whatever the top note is or the bottom note and move that up above the chord or below the chord. For example, the red note on the bottom is a C2. If I hit move up, that moves up to C3 and goes to the top of the chord. The next note below that is a E2. If I hit move up again, then that E2 now becomes an E3 and goes to the top of the chord. And then you have the option to go backwards. If I hit move down, it returns right back to where it was before. And if I hit move down again, the C that's on the top is going to go to a C on the bottom. This allows you to change the character of the chord very quickly because it uses the same notes in the chord. It doesn't change them, but it moves their order. If I hit the move up button a few times, I can do that. If I move it down, I go just the opposite way. Same 4 notes in the chord, never change, only their order. Then you get these options where it says drop 2, and this threw me off for the longest time because I thought they were counting from the bottom, because the idea here is it takes whatever the second highest note is and drops it an octave. Well, it's not counting from the bottom, it's counting from the top. So if I go to this first note, and then I go to the second note, which in this case is a G2, this G2 is what's going to drop down an octave. If I hit drop 2, then that G went down to a G1. If I go to the drop 3 button, then we count from the top back 3 notes. In this case, we end up on an E2. If I hit the drop 3 button, then that E2 drops all the way down to an E1. And then this last option says drop 2 and 4. So again, if we're counting from the top, second note, which is a G2, and this bottom note, which is a C2, which is 4 notes from the top, when I hit this button, both of those notes now go all the way to the bottom. The bottom line on this is it gives you a bunch of great sounding options that you can hit very quickly to alter your chord. You can basically just experiment by hitting any of these buttons and listen to the difference it makes on the chords, and you're going to get some really interesting combinations very quickly. I'm just going to play this 2-bar loop, and I'm going to take a couple of these and randomly hit some of these buttons. Listen to the difference it makes in the sound. I'm going to change to a different chord. Make a selection here. Really changes the sound up. Go over to these and we'll use some of these drop 2 and 3 options. Completely transforms the way that sounds. I'm going to change a few more around here. You can hold shift in your up arrow to move any chord up a whole octave. And you can hit this drop 2 and 4 to spread the chord out over the different octaves. Do the same thing here. I'll hold shift and up, then drop 2 and 4. Change this one around too. Drop 3. And then we get this kind of a sound. And then we get one last option here to create chord events. Our first option that said add to the chord track combined all the different chords. If we use this create chord events, this is the typical option you have. If I click on this, you get the dialog box, and if I hit OK, then it writes in the chords along the chord track as you'd expect them to, changing wherever there's a difference, which would then allow you to take other instruments and match them to the chord track. So now you know what all these buttons do and various ways that you can put them to use. So begin your experimentation on your next project. See how you can take some of your basic same old ideas and turn them into something completely new and fresh. And I'll see you next time. All right, it's going to wrap it up for today. As always, if you haven't already, click the link in the description of this video to learn how you can get access to the all-new Digital Audio Manual Preferred. It's the clear, step-by-step solution showing you not only the tips, but all the secret and typically never talked about features that'll take you to a higher level of using your software. If you've been searching for an all-in-one solution to take you from start to finish and learning Cubase and Wavelab and other music software, this is exactly what you've been looking for. So click on the link in the description and come and be part of the clear path to a better learning experience. So today we had a look at some of the many options for editing chords in the key editor. We began by opening up a part and exploring the chord tab. We learned about the chord buttons versus the arrows and the different options those provide. We looked at the pitch visibility and the scale assistant and how that can affect the chords. We saw how we can analyze our chords by selecting them and then see a reading of what kind of chords they are. And then we finished off talking about inversions and the option for dropping different notes in different octaves. And we will continue to explore all the different creative options and the many tools that we have available to us. As always, it's great to have you guys here, and I'll see you on the next video.